Air Jordan. It's made Michael Jordan a lot of money. Here are 23 little-known facts about the billion-dollar brand. Here's a fascinating tidbit you might not know about the iconic Air Jordan logo. The Jumpman silhouette, which has become a global symbol for athletic excellence, has a deeper and more complex history than you might expect. It all traces back to a single photograph taken in 1984 by Dutch photographer Co Rentmeester. At the time, Rentmeester was working on a photo essay for Life magazine capturing American Olympians. When he photographed a young Michael Jordan at the University of North Carolina, he told young MJ to leap into the air with his legs splayed out like a ballet dancer. The photos were published in Life and caught Nike's attention. The company decided to create its own version. Jordan was photographed in a pose strikingly similar to the one Rentmeester had choreographed. Legs splayed out, mid-air, seemingly defying gravity like a ballet dancer. However, there was one significant difference. This time, Jordan was wearing a pair of Nike Air Jordan sneakers, not the obscure New Balances he wore in the original shoot. The photos were published before MJ had signed a contract with Nike, and in the original photos that Co Rentmeester shot, he was rocking New Balances and Adidas socks. This subtle yet crucial change tied the image directly to Nike's brand and set the stage for the creation of the Jumpman logo, arguably the greatest logo of all time next to the Nike swoosh. What many of us don't realize is that this famous shot led to a lengthy battle between Rentmeester and Nike. The company initially paid him $150 for two transparencies of the image, which they then used to create their own versions. That version ultimately became the Jumpman logo, which we see today on millions of Air Jordans and apparel. But Rentmeester never received the recognition or the compensation he felt he deserved for his role in creating this iconic logo. So next time you lace up a pair of Jordans, remember that the Jumpman logo isn't just a silhouette of MJ, it's a symbol of betrayal for our guy, Co Rentmeester. And I hope I'm not betraying him by pronouncing his last name wrong. When the Air Jordan 14 released in the late 90s, gang violence was at an all-time high. And in the city of Salinas, California, law enforcement officials were concerned about the release of the sneaker because of the Roman numeral design details. They even wrote a letter to Nike about it. The Roman numeral for 14 spells out XIV, which is a symbol for gangs like the Norteños, who would often tag the Roman numeral in their barrios and even get it tatted on them. If you count up the alphabet in order, the 14th letter is the letter N, which is the first letter of the gang, Norteños. And not to mention, the Jordan 14 also featured the gang's colors, red. Don't believe me? Check out this local news clip from Salinas, California during that time.
Could Nike's new Air Jordan basketball shoes spark deadly gang violence? That's what Bay Area police and authorities in surrounding areas fear, and now they're trying to prevent it. Tony Russomanno explains from Salinas.
Police in San Jose and several other Northern California cities say they are intensely interested in Nike's latest Air Jordan basketball shoes. What got their attention was a letter to Nike from the mayor of Salinas warning that the shoes could lead to violence. The police interest is not in who's wearing them necessarily, but in what it means when they do.
Our biggest concern is that a nationally distributed product by an internationally known corporate name would be used to further promote the ideologies of a criminal organization.
That organization would be Northern California's Norteño Street Gang.
And Michael pulls up and buries the shot to give him a one-point lead.
The shoes are the 14th edition of basketball superstar Michael Jordan's wildly popular line. So they carry the number 14 in Roman numerals in a red circle on the sole. The color and the numerals XIV are used by Norteño gang members to identify themselves. The letter N is the 14th letter of the alphabet. And gang members mark their territory with their symbols. The shoes cost $150 a pair. You might think that price would put off a lot of potential buyers, but Salinas police say local stores have sold out of their first two shipments and won't even be getting any more in until March.
Imagine this. You're a young basketball player coming out of the University of North Carolina, and Nike, the future biggest sportswear brand in the world, tells you over a nice dinner with your parents, I'll give you $2.5 million before you even play a single game in the NBA. I'll give you your own sneaker line, and I'll also give you royalties on sales for said sneaker line. And then you say, nah, I'm good. That's what a young Michael Jordan did. He loved Adidas, and he told his agent that he refused to sign with anybody else. He wore them during college practice sessions, even though Converse was sponsored by the team. He also loved to rock the Adidas tracksuits. He wanted nothing more than to sign with Adidas. Unfortunately, the feeling wasn't mutual. Adidas wouldn't even put forward an offer. My guy got rejected like a teenage boy from his high school crush. the GOAT wised up and signed with the swoosh, and Adidas is still stalking MJ's IG stories to this day.
I got one thing to say.
Yeah, what's that?
I see Adidas shoes.
Yeah.
Why?
It's 1998, and the New York Knicks are preparing to face off against the unstoppable Chicago Bulls. The rumors around the league are that this will be MJ's final season, and because of that, his last game at the prestigious Madison Square Garden. During the post-game interview, MJ told the media that he wanted to send off Madison Square Garden in a pair of his very first sneaker with Nike, the Air Jordan 1. Knicks fans witnessed Michael Jordan dropping 42 on their head.
Now, what about the shoes? See, now, this was a gesture for the New York crowd, and it's one that your feet probably weren't looking forward to.
Well, I was joking with my wife at home, and I said, you know what? We're going back to New York. Why not break out the new shoes, or the old shoes, actually? And, it's been a long time since I wore them, and it kind of, it's kind of fun to come back here and play and remember some of the old days and some of the things that, some of the games that I've had here, and the shoes is a part of that. So, my feet are killing me. But it was fun, though. It was fun.
I figured because when you had those were 12, and you wear a 13 and a half now.
They shrunk a little bit. I think they have. But, it's fun. The shoes just mean shoes. I think you have to still go out and play the game. And, that's a big pressure to come out here with some new shoes and, making a statement. And still, you got to play the game of basketball.
Michael Jordan's flu game is one of the most legendary performances in NBA history. MJ, despite being visibly ill and weak from flu-like symptoms, led the Chicago Bulls to 90-88 victory during the 1997 NBA Finals against the Utah Jazz. This victory helped put his team one win away from winning their 5th championship. The sneakers he had on feet, you ask? The black and red Air Jordan 12, which sneaker enthusiasts now refer to as the Flu Game 12s, although it wasn't truly the flu that MJ had. The incident occurred the night before the game when Jordan ordered a pizza to his hotel room and got sick. His trainer, Tim Grover, was called to the room, and in the middle of the night, he found him curled up in pain. It was then confirmed that it was food poisoning and not the flu that caused Jordan's illness. Still, this game is remembered as one of Michael Jordan's most iconic and gutsy performances, and it solidified his reputation as one of the greatest players of all time, and the Flu Game 12s as one of the top sneakers of Michael Jordan's career. Before his first retirement and baseball career, Michael Jordan and his peers, specifically the 1992 Dream Team, helped usher in a new era of basketball. And thanks to this, basketball's popularity skyrocketed and became an international phenomenon. And with basketball becoming a beloved global sport, naturally, basketball's biggest star, Michael Jordan, also became an international phenomenon. Michael Jordan was at the peak of his popularity during this time. And when his 9th signature shoe, the Air Jordan 9, released in November of 1993, Michael Jordan was nowhere near a basketball court. In fact, Michael Jordan didn't even grace a basketball court in a pair of Air Jordan 9s until he played for the Washington Wizards in the early 2000s. Fun fact, though he didn't play in the Jordan 9 as a member of the Chicago Bulls, the sneakers are featured on the statue outside of the United Center that the Bulls erected for him when he first retired. Show the Jordan 9 some love, damn it. One of the standout colorways of the Air Jordan 1 is the shattered backboard releases. Ahead of his second professional season, Michael Jordan went on a promotional tour with Nike across Europe during the summer of 1985. And at an exhibition game in Trieste, Italy, Jordan shattered a backboard on a nasty dunk. Decades later, Nike released a special colorway to commemorate this dunk, the Air Jordan 1 shattered backboard. It was inspired by the orange and black colors of the jersey MJ had on when he smashed the rim. There was a home and away colorway, and of course, the most recent drop, the shattered backboard 3.0. This crinkled patent leather-like material gives the appearance of shattered glass, aligning more literally with the shoe's backboard shattering theme. You could compare Michael Jordan to a superhero any day of the week, and number 8 on this list further proves my point. These custom-made Air Jordan 6s, designed for the 1992 film Batman Returns directed by Tim Burton, could easily be considered the ultimate treasure of movie sneakers. Worn by Batman, who was portrayed by Michael Keaton, these shoes rank among the most exclusive Jordans ever produced. They're an all-black Jordan 6 with an extended boot that only a superhero could pull off. This was at a time when Nike and other brands were doing a lot of product placement in movies, and is a cool part of Air Jordan's history. After the success of the Air Jordan 1 in 1985, Nike and the shoe's designer Peter Moore were fast at work on the next iteration of the Air Jordan line, the Air Jordan 2. During this period, Michael Jordan was experiencing foot problems, particularly due to the lack of support and cushioning in the Air Jordan 1, a problem the Air Jordan 2 was supposed to solve. Obviously, you can't have your cash cow hurting on the court, so Nike decided to experiment with a hybrid model. They took the upper from the Air Jordan 1 and combined it with the more cushioned and supportive sole unit from the up-and-coming Air Jordan 2. And this is what he would wear in the meantime. We call it now the Air Jordan 1.5, but it was never released to the public during that era. But MJ did wear them on the court, which is pretty awesome. They did, however, do a special release of them in 2015, but it wasn't really that hyped. In October 1985, Michael Jordan broke his left foot, forcing him to sit out most of the NBA season. But MJ, being an MJ, was determined to come back strong, and after months of hard work, he rejoined the Chicago Bulls, but this time rocking an unusual pair of Jordans. I bet you didn't know that Nike made him a pair of Air Jordan 1s with the strap support system. It had a black strap hanging off the side of the shoe and an internal strap down system. These are one of the most rare pairs of Jordans in the collectible market. There were only a few made, and one sold at auction for $55,000. Crazy. It's Game 6 of the 1998 NBA Finals, and the Chicago Bulls are trailing the Utah Jazz by 1 point. And as always, the ball ends up in MJ's hands. Michael Jordan swipes the ball out of Karl Malone's possession, and with 8 seconds left, he calmly dribbled up to the top of the key, staring down Byron Russell. In a hostile Utah crowd, he faked right and crossed, sending Russell to the ground wide open. Jordan rose up and drained the jumper, putting the Bulls up by 1 and securing his 6th and final championship. It would be his final shot as a member of the Chicago Bulls. Jordan capped off his 6th championship with one of the most iconic shots in the history of the NBA, all while introducing the world to his black and red Jordan 14s, now famously known as The Last Shot. The crazy thing is, he wasn't supposed to be wearing those. Tinker Hatfield, the designer of the shoe, insisted that Michael not wear them on the court because they weren't ready, but MJ loved the prototype so much, he wore them anyway. Speaking of the Air Jordan 14, did you know the sneaker was heavily inspired by Ferrari? The shoe takes cues from a couple of Ferrari models, the 355 F1 and the 550 Maranello, both of which Michael Jordan owned. The midsole is modeled after the grille of the 550, while the outsole was clearly a nod to the Pirelli tires and gave the sneaker an aggressive look. The most standout and obvious connection to Italian sports cars, though, is the Jumpman crest, which mimics Ferrari's iconic logo. The Air Jordan 6's giant pull tab is inspired by the spoiler of a Porsche, and the Jordan 17 is inspired by an Aston Martin. When Tinker Hatfield presented Michael Jordan his new signature shoe, the Air Jordan 6, he told him that he wanted a clean toe. MJ, being a lover of Italian dress shoes, liked to round it off clean toe box. The previous model, the Air Jordan 5, had a panel on the toe cap, as did the Jordan 4, and he made sure that moving forward, no toe caps. He had the same visceral reaction when he saw the prototype for the Jordan 10 many years later. If you look at the Jordan line after the 5, none of them have a protective panel on the toe cap. The GOAT always gets his way, I guess. Alright, number 14 on this list was surprising even for me because, I researched sneakers all damn day and I did not know this. Did you know that the first non-basketball Air Jordan was a trainer for Hall of Fame wide receiver Randy Moss? I didn't know that. But in case you don't know, Randy Moss was one of the most insane wide receivers of all time. His remarkable speed, size, and athleticism made him almost impossible to stop. A perfect representative for Jordan Brand's first NFL endorsement. He joined right around the time that Michael Jordan retired and started focusing on the business side of Air Jordan. MJ signed sports stars like Derek Jeter from baseball, Roy Jones Jr. from boxing, but Randy Moss was the real standout. Gentry Humphrey, then the productive director at Jordan Brand, was inspired by Moss's incredible workouts, calling him a freak of nature and a super freak, which sparked a name for Moss's signature shoe. Following its success, Jordan Brand released a second signature shoe for Moss called the Mossified, featuring a prominent M logo on the heel. I need a pair. When the Air Jordan 11 first dropped in 1995, it really stood out from all the other shoes on the court. This was thanks to its super shiny patent leather, which made it look fancy, almost like a dress shoe. Because of this, people started wearing it not just on the basketball court, but also with suits and formal outfits. It sort of became a tradition for sneakerheads to rock them at weddings and high school graduations. The black and white Concord version became a favorite because it kind of looks like a tuxedo on your feet. Nike even released a special version called the cap and gown colorway, made just for graduations with materials that look even more polished. Are you guys rocking Jordan 11s to special events? The Air Jordan 2 is a weird shoe with a complicated history. At one point, it was the most hated J from the Jordan line. One thing I can really appreciate about the Air Jordan 2 is how luxurious it really was. I mean, visually, the shoe is a massive departure from its predecessor, the Air Jordan 1, but also the materials were a dramatic change. Like, they really leveled them up. Although designed in America, the shoe incorporated advanced rubbering manufacturing techniques developed by a Spanish company and featured a luxurious leather upper made in Italy. This high-quality Italian leather mirrored Michael Jordan's personal style off the court. The sneaker featured fake iguana skin and, from what I've heard, was 100% manufactured in Italy. Pretty unheard of for Nike and Air Jordan today. I mean, it seems like, from what I hear from everybody who's been copping, that the quality control's been going down over there, but I don't know, you guys let me know. Speaking of respect and the Air Jordan 2, in late 1987, Michael Jordan's 5-year contract with Nike was coming to an end, and Jordan was pretty set on not renewing it. He had grown frustrated with the direction of the Air Jordan line and wasn't happy with the company. Meanwhile, Rob Strasser, Nike's director of marketing, and Air Jordan 1's designer Peter Moore left the company to create their own venture, Sports Incorporated, a consulting firm for sportswear brands which included Adidas. Nike feared Strasser and Moore were poaching Jordan to Sports Incorporated. If they were going to keep MJ, they would have to dazzle him with his next shoe. That's where the Air Jordan 3 came in. Tinker Hatfield designed this shoe specifically to wow MJ. The tumbled leather on the shoe, the elephant print, and the quality blew him away. But personally, I like to think it was the reveal of the Jumpman logo. It was the first time it was seen on a shoe, and I'd imagine MJ being really stoked about that, seeing your logo, you know, like the split legs doing the dunk in a silhouette. It's just so iconic. So I imagine that's what really saved Nike. Will Smith's sneaker legacy is one to be studied. In fact, I made a whole video covering the shoes that he rocked on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but to keep it short and sweet, he loved Jordans, specifically the Air Jordan 5. It's what he's rocking during the iconic intro of the show, and he wore them in different colorways throughout the seasons. Anyways, without realizing it, Will Smith was putting millions of eyeballs on Air Jordan brand. When new Air Jordans would come out, he had to be the first to get them. And he actually called Michael Jordan himself to beg him for unreleased Jordans to wear.
I was literally calling Jordan, and I was like, Mike, please don't give it to nobody. Like, just let me be the first person.
Oh, really?
I gotta be the first person to wear it.
That's dope.
He was like, man, I don't run that.
The Black Cat. That was the nickname Michael Jordan's teammates gave to him. A chiseled 6'6" shooting guard. He was smart and fast. He was powerful and instinctive. He could conserve his energy like no other on the court, and at the right time and right moment, he'd attack his prey like a panther, like a black cat. If you look at the original sketches of the outsole for the Air Jordan 13, you will see that it is directly inspired by the paws of a panther, a feature that would carry over into the official release. One feature that didn't was the addition of a strap. Tinker Hatfield added the strap for stability, but MJ didn't feel it was needed and they decided against it. The upper features some synthetic suede right before running into a huge piece of reflective mesh that pays tribute to the flecks of color in the fur of a black panther. By far, the most iconic feature on the shoe is the holographic cat eye bubble that you see near the heel area. The green holographic cat eye is iconic for two reasons in my opinion. One is that it's kind of a sign of the times. Like in the 90s, there was those holographic marble cards, and it just brings me tons of great nostalgia because I just remembered being a kid. This was the ultimate aesthetic in the 90s, this like holographic color changing thing. It was amazing. Anyway, secondly, the fact that Tinker Hatfield had the genius to incorporate this into the design as a direct inspiration of an eye of a panther is just next level design. In 1988, Michael Jordan famously defeated Dominique Wilkins in the NBA Slam Dunk Contest, securing victory with a perfect score of 50 for a dunk forever known as the free throw line dunk. He was rocking the white cement Air Jordan 3s. It's legendary. But this wouldn't be his last time wearing them in a dunk contest. 3 months later, Jordan participated in an impromptu dunk exhibition at the Carolina Coliseum, where he borrowed the same shoes from a kid named Terry Baker, a young fan who happened to be at the slam dunk contest where MJ was. Michael Jordan wasn't initially planning to enter the dunk contest or to even play. He was wearing dress shoes, but when he decided to, he had to borrow a pair of white cement 3s from Terry Baker. As chance would have it, Terry Baker had Air Jordan cement 3s in the same size as Jordan, size 14. So you know MJ had to put on a show for the people and busted out some high-flying dunks at this high school or college slam dunk contest. Air Jordans are the greatest basketball shoe line of all time. There's never been anything else that comes close to it. You would think that MJ would never have to wear any other signature shoe but his own, right? Well, in 1995, he made an exception. After lacing up the Concord Air Jordan 11s during the first 2 games of the 1995 NBA Eastern Conference semifinals against the Orlando Magic, the NBA fined Jordan $5,000 for violating the league's uniform guidelines by wearing white and black sneakers that didn't conform to the Chicago Bulls team's colors. So in Game 3, MJ pulled out a pair of Nike Air Flight 1s, which was basically Penny Hardaway's signature shoe, and he had to rock these to avoid additional fines. This game marked the only time in Jordan's career that he wore another player's shoe in an NBA game. Imagine being Penny Hardaway, who was like super young at the time. He was probably tripping seeing the GOAT wearing his shoes during such a high-stakes playoff game between the two. It's insane.
Making his second All-Star appearance from the Orlando Magic, Anthony Hardaway. And at the other guard, a 3-time NBA Most Valuable Player, 3 times Final MVP, and 7-time NBA scoring champ from the Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan.
Not the most popular model of the Air Jordan line, but the Air Jordan 22 had a secret message woven into it. In its ongoing effort to deter counterfeit sneakers, Jordan Brand went to extraordinary measures on the Air Jordan 22. When you view these shoes under blacklight, you'll find a hidden message with a special decoding system. And when certain letters are rearranged, it spells out the word authentic. Guys, this was 2006, pre-StockX. So yeah, they didn't have authentication back then, but wait, how does StockX even know they're real or, wait, never mind. Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player to ever grace the court, played a long 15-year career, and for most of it, he was at the top, the highest earner, the champ, and the face of the league. During his NBA playing career, Michael Jordan earned $94 million over 15 seasons. But his path to billionaire status really comes down to his business with his Air Jordan sneakers. In 2023, MJ pocketed $330 million from his 5% royalty. Pretty crazy because he's probably gonna make even more this year in 2024 because it seems like they just keep raising the prices on the retros of some of these Jordans. Peace.